Again, something the local school kids did. Get, you know, simple memorials and some more elaborate. They also did this because so many people were coming and there was no place you need to sit. They put up these benches and put the names of all of the victims on the benches. This is a 10-foot-high hurricane chain link fence. It was put up there so they could mount these 4x8 boards so people could write stuff. In addition, you can see they put little things in the chain links and both sides. What the people of Hainesville did is, obviously this is all very fragile material. Every month or so they went through, collected it all. It sits in 2 warehouses, which will be part of the permanent museum when it is erected there. You don't have to say anything about that. This was Graves Lake back in September 14, 2001. Some of you may have come down, been around there. This was an impromptu candlelight ceremony. This appeared in Time magazine. Yours truly and Cynthia. And just to give you some idea of the total, in New York, about 2,750 people. That's the number for the Trade Center, and again, 16,000, 18,000. I want to stress this. Civilians. Pearl Harbor was an attack against a military installation. 9/11, and you'll see even when they show the Pentagon numbers, was an attack against civilians. Look at the difference. Civilians. And again, just under 3,000. This number changes a little bit. Unfortunately, they're still finding remains. They have only identified about half of the people on the Trade Center. People were vaporized. In the box there, and someone just hold it up. It's a little too delicate to pass around. The vial, there's a vial of the dust. It's probably, it's listed as hazardous material. It's got concrete in it. It's got asbestos in it. It's probably got some other materials, some steel, pulverized steel. And unfortunately, probably there may be traces of DNA. That's all I have. I'm a little beyond my time, but if anybody has any questions?
What did they finally do with the rubble? I know they took from ground zero, they took it to Staten Island.
They took it to Fresh Kills in Staten Island,
right.
Which...
And they recycled the steel or something.
Okay, let me tell you the story though.
Okay.
At Fresh Kills, they needed a large area to sit through.
Mm-hmm.
And when you had FEMA there, you had the FBI, you had medical examiners, you had CIA, you had everybody sifting through that. They sifted through every ounce of it. For human remains, for pieces of aircraft, for personal effects. It's steel. Some of it resides in, I believe it's Hangar 17 at JFK. It's going to be part of the new museum. The memorial down in at Ground Zero. There's some down here in Wonderland. What happened was New York City had a period where they said, okay, hey, if you want a municipality or a patriotic group that want a big piece of it, we'll work out the arrangements. Pay for shipping. Pay for shipping. And Wonderland has one, Naperville has a piece. Naperville had someone who was in the Pentagon was killed. The rest of the steel, a load of it was shipped trip down to a place in Pennsylvania which made little medallions, and there was a hue and cry about that because it's a pretty steel and all that. However, 95% went to China. Went to China.
95%.
95%.
I thought they built a ship.
Yeah, one piece. They took the SS New York, was built, part of its keel was a chunk of steel.
They
It
made
was
it
even
sound,
steel, but you saw the steel was there.
they made it sound like they used the steel
No,
ready
no.
to build the whole.
No, no.
I mean, the whole ship.
Just
Didn't
part of the
Make it
keel.
sound that way.
Just part of the keel. 95%, go to 95% of the China.
Well, that's why I asked the question, because I had one of my carriers that also containers from me in New York, also has a dump truck operation that was very active in that one. And then another one of my carriers in Green Bay was actually hauling beams of the old tower where they distributed them to different places throughout the country.
Right.
And then I was just kind of curious what happened to the rest of the steel, because that was just a huge site up at Fresh Hill.
Right.
And I didn't know, so I had to ask the question.
By the way, Hangar 17, if you saw it, I mean, National Geographic, History Channel, we can all sorts of stuff on. Hangar 17, they have police cars in there, they have subway cars in the basement. There was a huge subway terminal in the basement of the trade center, and there were cars put in there. They have one of those, which would be in the museum. They have fire trucks.
Pierce Manufacturing in Apple told me a fortune.
Yeah. And then they had taxi cabs, police cars, private cars, and some of those will be in the museum. Some don't. They're kept in the humidity controlled area. We're going back to New York for a wedding, and we have tickets to visit Ground Zero on the 28th.
Whatever that Monday is.
28th of November.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. That is quite an excellent documentary that you put together there. And I just want everyone to know that Jim was kind enough. He supplied me with the DVD of his entire presentation. This is edited down for the purpose of tonight. So maybe we'll view it another time, or if the Great Age Club would be interested in viewing it, that certainly would be available. So thank you again. Thank you very much. At this time, I know it's getting late, we've got some business to get done. I'd like to ask for a motion for approval of tonight's agenda. So moved.
Trustees Darnowski.
Aye.
Kreese. Duberstein. Burial. And Washington.
Oh, there it is. Did everybody get a chance to see this? Motion carried. Before we move to public comments, and why that's being passed around for a quick final look, because that's quite staggering to know that that was the thickness of the floor. I think that really, I wanted to point out somebody in the audience tonight. Pat Perry is present from the Lake County Board, District 11. And if you've been reading the papers and keeping up on the news, you'll know that we have new district boundaries for Lake County. So in the next election, Pat will be running for District 6, which will include Hainesville. So Pat, thank you for being here today. Thank you. Okay, at this time we'll move to public comments. Anybody wishing to address the board should have filled out a sheet at the sign-in desk and presented it to the clerk. I'd like to ask Amy Newsom-Strack to step up to the mic. And we'll ask you to state your name and address again just for the record.
My name is Amy Newsom-Strack. I live at 156 Stillwater Drive here in Hainesville. And I just have 2 questions this evening. The first is an update again on the bike path. And I do see that there's a movement, looks like it's being widened. That's great news. It looks like there's things I just would like an update.
I don't think the microphone.
Mike is
You
not working.
can't hear that.
You can't hear, okay. Did he hit the switch?
So it's time, you guys, get into the mic.
Well, I can speak up. Is that better?
Yeah.
Oh, now we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth-
And you may want to lower the mic a touch too. Maybe that, just get close.
If your mouth is close, it'll work.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if you want
Very
to take
close.
it off and hold it,
That might be easier.
Well, is this fine?
Yes.
Okay, I don't mind being.
Good.
Okay.
I don't mind.
Amy is asking about an update about the bike path
About the bike
along
path.
Haynesville Road.
Correct, I am. I'd like to know just timeline where things are at. And the second point I had is the last time I was here, you had mentioned that you were going to meet with Representative Susie Schmidt regarding, yes, regarding the intersection of Hainesville Road and 120 and upgrading that. I just wanted to know what the status of that was or what the outcome of that was.
Let's start with the bike path. Today was there was the beginning of the major construction activity. I don't know if you were at work during the day, but during the day they had horses out in the street and was blocking the lane. You had to go around, they were directing traffic. They are starting to work in the wetland area. The biggest challenge of this construction project will be that wetland area. So they're in there and they're working. I think, Greg, if they're in there working, the timeline is what? Are we safe to say?
We actually went to the pre-construction meeting on August 11th, and the project was awarded to Copenhagen Construction. They were supposed to start on August 22nd, and they were given 30 working days, which is 6 calendar weeks, to finish the project. There was an issue with a NICOR utility gas line regarding a question whether they could use an existing drainage easement that was out there. Basically, we concluded that we couldn't give them the authority to do that, so that NICOR had to basically reanalyze where they were going to put their gas line, and that was the reason for the delay. I haven't got any updates, since then. I just know that they've started now, and if they've given the authorization to proceed, I would expect them to work with that 30-day calendar, 30 working day schedule, six weeks.
So if I can ask, so the issue with NICOR has been resolved?
That I'm not certain of. I know that working with NICOR, they originally had planned to go out into the easement, and we told them they couldn't, so that now they're going to have to basically lower that line in place.
Is the 30 days starting from now or from the time that they were awarded the contract?
It was supposed to start 30 days from that August 22nd date, but with the delay, I haven't been in contact with the county to figure out.
It's my understanding that since the delay was not the contractor's fault,
Yeah, you cannot hold the contractor.
that you can't hold the
The contractor is not responsible
Yeah.
for the utility.
Yeah, and
relocations.
this was my concern, and Greg and I will be pursuing an answer to this week together. I have a pile here for Greg, for him to work on with me, actually, because my concern all along, even since you were here that night and prior to, was when I first heard about the NICOR issue, my question was, does this NICOR line, which you can see the flags and all the marks down by the Walgreens corner, does this keep them from starting working on the wetland? And it was my understanding was no. So my answer was, well, then I would think we would want to start working in the wetland. So that has occurred. Now, whether that started today because it was resolved fully with NICOR, that I can't say at this time. But I will find out this week. As far as my meeting with Susie Schmidt, I did meet with Susie at her office in Lake Villa. We covered many things. We had a very productive meeting. Now, you mentioned 120 and Hainesville Road, which certainly is an important issue for this village. And that's not just IDOT. I mean, Hainesville Road is a Lake County road. So, in fact, I recently talked to Pat Perry about it, and have been talking to anybody I can at Lake County about Hainesville Road. And then from the IDOT perspective, yes, I talked to Susie. You know, of course, Susie also recently was at a Route 53 meeting. So that is trying to move, you know, ahead. And, you know, I'm very much in favor of that progressing. So we covered transportation through A through Z, you know, within Hainesville boundaries.